A weeping statue of the Virgin Mary, a paralyzed nun suddenly healed, and messages that predict the future with chilling accuracy. This isn't the plot of a movie, it's the real-life story of Sister Sasagawa and her incredible visions. But here's the truly shocking part. Her prophecies are happening now, in our time. From pandemics to wars, from climate disasters to crises of faith, it's all unfolding just as she said it would. Stay with me, and I'll show you how Sister Sasagawa's words from the past are shaping our present and future. Agnes Katsuko. Sasagawa's life was far from ordinary, even before she became the center of one of the most astonishing religious events of the 20th century. Born in 1931 in Akita, Japan, Agnes faced health challenges from a young age that would shape her extraordinary journey. As a child, Agnes suffered from a severe case of appendicitis that left her with lasting complications. Her health was fragile, and she struggled with various ailments throughout her youth. But nothing could have prepared her for the devastating turn her life would take in her early 20s. In a cruel twist of fate, a routine medical procedure went horribly wrong. A nurse mistakenly injected Agnes with a harmful substance, leaving her completely paralyzed. Can you imagine the shock and despair of suddenly losing all ability to move? For Agnes, this tragic error meant 16 long years confined to a hospital bed, unable to care for herself or participate in the world around her. But it was during this darkest period of her life that a glimmer of hope appeared. A Catholic nurse began caring for Agnes, and their relationship would change everything. This nurse didn't just tend to Agnes's physical needs, she introduced her to the comfort and strength of faith. For the first time, Agnes began to see her suffering through a different lens, finding purpose and meaning in her pain. Inspired by her nurse's example and drawn to the teachings of the Catholic Church, Agnes made a decision that would have seemed impossible just a short time before. Despite her physical limitations, she chose to dedicate her life to God and join a convent. It was a bold move for anyone, let alone a woman who had been bedridden for over a decade and a half. Agnes's path to becoming Sister Sasagawa was far from easy. Her physical challenges persisted, and she had to overcome numerous obstacles to fulfill her calling. But her determination was unwavering. She saw her suffering as a way to draw closer to God, embracing it as part of her spiritual journey. Little did Sister Sasagawa know that her dedication and faith were preparing her for an experience that would shake the foundations of her world and touch the lives of countless others. As she settled into her life as a nun, serving God with humility and grace, she had no idea that she was on the brink of something truly extraordinary. What happened next defies explanation. How did this simple, humble nun from a small town in Japan become the recipient of world-changing visions? The answer lies in a series of supernatural events that began in 1973, events that would captivate the world and leave even the most skeptical observers struggling to find rational explanations. Sister Sasagawa's first encounter with the supernatural was just the beginning. It set in motion a chain of miraculous occurrences that would transform her life and challenge our understanding of the spiritual realm. From weeping statues to stigmata, from inexplicable healings to prophecies that seem to be unfolding before our eyes, Sister Sasagawa's experiences have left an indelible mark on modern religious history. As we delve deeper into the miraculous events that followed Sister Sasagawa's dedication to faith, prepare to have your perceptions challenged. The story of this unassuming nun from Akita is about to take us on a journey that blurs the lines between the physical and spiritual worlds, leaving us to question everything we thought we knew about divine intervention in our modern age. Sister Sasagawa's journey was about to take an extraordinary turn. Imagine kneeling in prayer when suddenly, the air around you begins to shimmer with an otherworldly presence. This is exactly what happened in a quiet convent in Akita, but it was only the beginning. What followed would challenge the limits of faith and reason, leaving even the most doubtful searching for answers. On July 6, 1973, Sister Sasagawa encountered something that defied explanation. As she knelt before a wooden statue of the Virgin Mary, carved from a single katsura tree trunk, the figure began to shine with a supernatural radiance. This wasn't a trick of the light or a figment of her imagination. It was the first of many miraculous events that would unfold in that small chapel, forever changing the lives of those who witnessed them. But not everyone was quick to believe. Skepticism and disbelief rippled through the convent. How could a simple wooden statue shine with divine light? Many dismissed Sister Sasagawa's claims, attributing them to an overactive imagination or perhaps a desire for attention. Yet she remained steadfast in her conviction, even as doubt swirled around her. Then, on June 28, 1973, something happened that silenced many of the skeptics. During a prayer session, the statue began to bleed. At the same time, Sister Sasagawa experienced intense pain in her left hand and arm. This wasn't just a spiritual phenomenon. It was a physical manifestation that left witnesses stunned. The sight of human blood trickling from a wooden statue was impossible to ignore or explain away. But the miracles didn't stop there. On September 29, 1973, the statue began to sweat profusely, emitting a fragrant, oily liquid that filled the chapel with an otherworldly scent. Eyewitnesses described the atmosphere as charged with a divine presence. Even those who had doubted before found themselves moved by the inexplicable events unfolding before their eyes. As word spread, more people flocked to the chapel, hoping to witness these phenomena for themselves. The air was thick with a mixture of awe, fear, and anticipation. What did these signs mean? What message was being conveyed through these impossible events? The local ecclesiastical authorities couldn't ignore the growing reports. They launched a detailed investigation, examining every aspect of the supernatural claims. Scientists were brought in to analyze the tears from the weeping statue. Their findings sent shockwaves through the community. The tears were confirmed to be human, adding a layer of credibility to the miraculous claims that even the most hardened skeptics found difficult to dismiss. As the investigation continued, Sister Sasagawa revealed more about her encounters with the Virgin Mary. She spoke of receiving messages, urgent calls for prayer and repentance. The Virgin had acknowledged her stigmata and deafness, interpreting them as spiritual signs. She instructed Sister Sasagawa to recite the Handmaids of the Eucharist prayer, hinting at a greater purpose behind these supernatural events. The content of these messages was both profound and troubling. They spoke of impending dangers, of the need for humanity to change its course. Sister Sasagawa found herself at the center of a divine warning, chosen to convey messages that would have implications far beyond the walls of her convent. As we delve deeper into the specifics of these messages, you'll see why they've captured the attention of believers and skeptics alike for decades. The words spoken to Sister Sasagawa in that small chapel in Akita carry a weight that seems to grow heavier with each passing year. What exactly did the Virgin Mary reveal? And why does it seem more relevant now than ever before? The answers may shake your understanding of the world we live in today. We've all heard of religious prophecies, but how often do they come true in our lifetime? The Virgin Mary's first message to Sister Sasagawa wasn't just a call for prayer, it was a glimpse into a future that's becoming our present. As we unpack this warning, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about modern-day miracles and their impact on our world. Marian apparitions, where the Virgin Mary is believed to appear to individuals, have captivated the faithful for centuries. These divine encounters often bring messages of hope, guidance, and sometimes urgent warnings for humanity. The apparitions at Fatima, Lourdes, and Guadalupe have become cornerstones of Catholic tradition. But the messages received by Sister Sasagawa in Akita carried a weight that seems to grow heavier with each passing year. The first warning Sister Sasagawa received was far from a gentle greeting. It was a somber message tinged with divine sorrow and urgency. The Virgin Mary spoke of the state of the world, painting a picture of humanity adrift in a sea of sin. Her words weren't meant to condemn, but to awaken us to the gravity of our actions and their consequences. At the heart of this message was a call to action, a plea for prayer and reparation. The Virgin emphasized the power of the Rosary, urging souls to embrace this practice as a shield against the darkness engulfing the world. She spoke of acts of reparation, not as punishment, but as a means of healing the wounds inflicted on the divine heart by humanity's transgressions. The sorrow in the Virgin's voice was palpable as she described the pain caused to God by the sins of the world. Imagine the weight of that sorrow, a mother's grief for her wayward children, multiplied across all of humanity. This wasn't just about individuals falling short. It was about a world that had lost its way, causing immense suffering to the divine. Sister Sasagawa was tasked with a heavy responsibility to relay these warnings to her superior and, by extension, to the world. The urgency in the message was clear. If humanity did not change course, a great punishment would befall everyone, both the righteous and the sinners. The specificity of this warning sent chills down the spines of those who heard it. What could this punishment be? And how much time did we have to avert it? As we look at our world today, it's hard not to see echoes of Sister Sasagawa's warnings. The COVID-19 pandemic, which has claimed millions of lives and left deep scars on our social and economic landscapes, seems to align chillingly with the Virgin's predictions of disease and global upheaval. The accuracy of these prophecies, made decades ago in a small Japanese chapel, is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. But the Virgin's message wasn't one of despair. Even as she warned of dire consequences, she offered a path to salvation through prayer, repentance, and a return to faith. The question now is, will we heed these warnings? Or will we continue down a path that leads to even greater calamities? As we delve deeper into Sister Sasagawa's visions, the messages become even more urgent, the warnings more specific. The first message was just the beginning, a gentle wake-up call compared to what was to come. What other prophecies did Sister Sasagawa receive? And how do they relate to the challenges we're facing today? The answers may shake the foundations of your understanding of our world and its future. The earth is crying out and its voice is deafening. From devastating earthquakes to catastrophic floods, our world seems to be unraveling at the seams. But what if these aren't random acts of nature? Sister Sasagawa's prophecies paint a disturbing picture of environmental chaos, one that's becoming our reality with each passing day. As we uncover the eerie parallels between her visions and current events, you might find yourself wondering, just how much did she know about our future? Sister Sasagawa's prophecies weren't vague musings about the future. They were specific, chilling warnings about large-scale natural disasters that would bring immense suffering to humanity. Earthquakes, floods, and storms featured prominently in her visions, painting a picture of a world ravaged by the very elements meant to sustain us. At the time, these predictions might have seemed far-fetched. Today, they read like headlines from our daily news. The frequency and severity of natural disasters have skyrocketed in recent years, aligning eerily with Sister Sasagawa's warnings. According to the United Nations, the number of weather-related disasters has tripled since the 1960s. This isn't just a slight uptick. It's a dramatic surge that's transforming our planet and threatening countless lives. The Earth seems to be entering a new era of instability, just as Sister Sasagawa foresaw. Recent years have brought catastrophic events that seem torn from the pages of Sister Sasagawa's prophecies. The devastating earthquakes in Haiti and Turkey left entire cities in ruins and countless lives shattered. Massive wildfires raged across Australia, the Amazon, and California, turning lush landscapes into apocalyptic wastelands. Europe, Brazil, and parts of Asia have been battered by severe floods, drowning centuries-old towns and displacing millions. Each disaster leaves a trail of death, destruction, and environmental damage in its wake, validating Sister Sasagawa's dire predictions with horrifying accuracy. But Sister Sasagawa's visions went beyond just predicting these events. They pointed to a deeper, more troubling truth, that humanity's disregard for nature would lead to serious consequences for the planet. This warning echoes loudly in current scientific studies linking environmental degradation and climate change to increased natural disasters. The message is clear. Our actions have consequences, and the bill for our negligence is coming due. As we face this onslaught of natural disasters, it's hard not to wonder what's next. If Sister Sasagawa's prophecies continue to unfold, are we prepared for what might come? Scientists warn that without significant changes, we could see even more frequent and severe disasters in the future. Coastal cities submerged, entire regions rendered uninhabitable, food and water shortages on a global scale. These scenarios are no longer the stuff of science fiction, but very real possibilities. Looking at the world today, it's clear that many of Sister Sasagawa's predictions about natural disasters are coming true before our eyes. The increase in earthquakes, floods, and storms she foresaw is now our reality. The environmental destruction she warned about is unfolding on a global scale. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of her prophecies is yet to come. Sister Sasagawa's visions suggest a deep connection between these natural calamities and the spiritual state of the world. Could our moral and spiritual choices be influencing the very fabric of our planet? As we witness the Earth's increasing turmoil, it's a question that becomes harder to ignore. The line between the physical and spiritual realms blurs, leaving us to wonder if there's more to these disasters than meets the eye. What other warnings did Sister Sasagawa receive? And how might they shed light on the challenges we're facing in our relationships, our societies, and even within the church itself? The answers may surprise you, and they're just around the corner. While the world reels from natural disasters, a silent epidemic is tearing apart the very fabric of our society. Sister Sasagawa foresaw a time when families would crumble and moral values would erode. Today, shocking statistics reveal just how accurate her predictions have become. Are we witnessing the fall of civilization as we know it? Sister Sasagawa's visions went far beyond environmental calamities. She warned of a profound disintegration within the very heart of our communities, our families. The Virgin Mary's messages to her spoke of a future where the bonds that hold society together would weaken and break, leaving chaos in their wake. At the time, these warnings might have seemed far-fetched. Today, they read like a description of our current reality. The breakdown of traditional family structures is happening before our eyes. Divorce rates have skyrocketed, with studies indicating that 40 to 50% of first marriages in the United States end in divorce. This isn't just a statistic. It represents millions of shattered families, broken dreams, and children caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts. The stable family unit, once the bedrock of society, is increasingly becoming the exception rather than the rule. But the crisis goes far beyond divorce. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies spoke of a rise in violence and addiction that would tear families apart. Today, we're seeing these predictions unfold in terrifying ways. Domestic violence has reached epidemic proportions, with 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experiencing severe, intimate partner physical violence. Homes that should be sanctuaries have become battlegrounds, leaving deep scars on those who should feel safest there. The scourge of addiction is another fulfillment of Sister Sasagawa's dark visions. The National Institute on Drug Abuse reports that over 70,000 drug overdose deaths occurred in the U.S. in 2019 alone. This staggering number represents not just individual tragedies, but entire families and communities torn apart by the ravages of substance abuse. The ripple effects of addiction spread far and wide, contributing to child neglect, financial ruin, and the erosion of social bonds. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies also warned of a shift away from traditional moral values, predicting a world where materialism and self-interest would trump compassion and spiritual growth. Today, we see this playing out in the spread of pornography, the glorification of violence in media, and a general sense of moral relativism that leaves many feeling adrift and purposeless. Sociologists point to changing social norms as a key factor in these trends. The rapid pace of technological change, the decline of religious influence, and the rise of individualism have all contributed to a society that looks very different from the one Sister Sasagawa knew. But are these changes progress, or are they signs of a deeper spiritual malaise? The consequences of this moral decline are far-reaching and potentially catastrophic. As family bonds weaken and traditional values erode, we're seeing a rise in mental health issues, social isolation, and a general sense of disconnection from community and purpose. The very foundations of our society, trust, compassion, and shared values, seem to be crumbling beneath our feet. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies about family breakdown are playing out in our society with chilling accuracy. From rising divorce rates to the scourge of addiction and violence, the cracks in our social fabric are widening every day. But her messages weren't just warnings. They were calls to action. They remind us that the future isn't set in stone, that our choices and actions can still shape the world we live in. As we grapple with these social changes, we're left to wonder about their deeper spiritual implications. What do these crumbling pillars of society mean for our relationship with the divine? And how do they connect to the warnings Sister Sasagawa received about the future of the church itself? The answers may surprise you, and they're about to unfold before your eyes. The erosion of family values was just the first tremor. Now, a spiritual earthquake is rocking the very foundations of the Catholic Church. Sister Sasagawa foresaw a crisis so severe it threatens to tear the faith apart from the inside out. Are we witnessing the fulfillment of her most chilling prophecy? Sister Sasagawa's visions didn't just warn of natural disasters and social decay. They pierced the heart of the Catholic Church itself, predicting a time of intense internal conflict that would shake the faith to its core. Her messages spoke of a dark force infiltrating the Church, sowing discord and leading many astray. At the time, these warnings might have seemed impossible. Today, they read like a prophetic description of the scandals and divisions tearing at the fabric of Catholicism. The Catholic Church finds itself embroiled in a crisis of staggering proportions. Sexual abuse scandals have rocked parishes around the world, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken trust. The scale of these abuses and the subsequent cover-ups have left many faithful reeling. It's as if the very shepherds meant to protect the flock have become wolves in sheep's clothing, just as Sister Sasagawa's visions warned. But the troubles don't end there. Deep divisions have emerged within the Church over moral and doctrinal issues. Debates rage over topics like same-sex marriage, the role of women in the clergy, and the interpretation of traditional teachings. These conflicts aren't just theological disagreements. They're tearing communities apart and leaving many questioning the very foundations of their faith. The impact of these crises is reflected in alarming statistics. A 2021 Pew Research study found that only 47% of American adults identified as members of a church, synagogue, or mosque, a dramatic drop from 70% in 1999. This isn't just a minor fluctuation. It's a mass exodus that's transforming the religious landscape. Millions are walking away from organized religion, disillusioned by scandals and feeling disconnected from ancient traditions. Church leaders are grappling with these challenges, often with a sense of desperation. Pope Francis himself has acknowledged the gravity of the situation, stating, "We must not be afraid to face the truth." This call for accountability echoes through the halls of the Vatican, but for many, it comes too late. The damage to the Church's reputation and moral authority may take generations to repair. Reform movements within the Church are attempting to address these prophesied problems. Initiatives aimed at increasing lay participation and promoting a more inclusive environment have emerged. But these efforts are often met with resistance from traditionalists, creating yet another battleground within the faith. As we witness these internal struggles, it's hard not to see the fulfillment of Sister Sasagawa's dire warnings. She spoke of a time when the Church would be infiltrated by those who would lead it astray, when faith would waver, and when the very foundations of belief would be shaken. Looking at the state of the Catholic Church today, her words seem almost eerily prescient. But Sister Sasagawa's visions weren't just about predicting doom. They offered a glimmer of hope, a path forward through the darkness. Her messages emphasized the power of prayer and devotion as a shield against these spiritual assaults. They reminded us that even in the darkest times, faith can be a guiding light. As we grapple with the reality of a church in crisis, we're left to wonder about the broader implications. Could these internal struggles be part of a larger spiritual battle? What do they mean for the future of organized religion and faith itself? The answers may lie in the most terrifying part of Sister Sasagawa's visions, a warning about a coming punishment that makes even the current turmoil pale in comparison. What did she see on the horizon that could be even worse than what we're experiencing now? The truth may shake you to your core. While religious institutions crumble from within, an even greater threat looms on the horizon. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies spoke of a world tearing itself apart. But could anyone have imagined just how literal that warning would become? The conflicts erupting across the globe today aren't just isolated incidents. They're pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, reveal a future more frightening than we dare imagine. Sister Sasagawa's visions went far beyond spiritual matters. She foresaw a world consumed by conflict, with nations turning against each other in a frenzy of violence and destruction. These weren't vague predictions of general unrest. Her prophecies spoke of specific signs: internal strife within countries, external wars between nations, and a constant state of tension that would keep the world on edge. Today, we're witnessing the chilling accuracy of these predictions. The war in Ukraine has shattered the illusion of peace in Europe, while long-standing conflicts in the Middle East continue to simmer. In Asia, territorial disputes in the South China Sea threaten to erupt into open warfare at any moment. It's as if the entire world is a powder keg, with multiple fuses burning simultaneously. But it's not just the number of conflicts that's alarming. It's their potential for escalation. Global military spending has reached unprecedented levels, surpassing $2 trillion in 2021 alone. Nations are arming themselves at a feverish pace, driven by fear, nationalism, and the desire for dominance. This massive buildup of military might isn't just about defense. It's a reflection of a world preparing for war on a scale we haven't seen in generations. Perhaps most terrifying of all is the specter of nuclear proliferation. Despite efforts at disarmament, several nations continue to expand their nuclear arsenals. North Korea's missile tests and Iran's nuclear ambitions have pushed the world closer to the brink of atomic conflict than we've been in decades. The doomsday clock, a symbol of how close we are to global catastrophe, now stands at 100 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been. Geopolitical analysts warn that the potential for a major global conflict is higher now than at any point since World War II. The combination of economic instability, resource scarcity, and rising nationalism creates a perfect storm of conditions for widespread war. Climate change is exacerbating these tensions, with predictions of mass migrations and battles over dwindling resources looming on the horizon. As we look at the state of the world today, it's hard not to see the fulfillment of Sister Sasagawa's dire warnings. The escalation of conflicts, the global arms race, and the simmering tensions between nations all align with her visions of a world at war with itself. But her prophecies weren't just meant to frighten us. They were a call to action, a plea for humanity to change course before it's too late. Understanding Sister Sasagawa's prophecies in the context of today's global tensions offers us a unique perspective. It reminds us that these conflicts aren't just about politics or resources. They're part of a larger spiritual battle. Her warnings urge us to look beyond the surface-level causes of war and consider the deeper, spiritual roots of our global discord. As we grapple with the reality of a world on the brink of widespread conflict, we're left to wonder, what can we do to avert this dark future? Is there still time to heed Sister Sasagawa's warnings and change course? The answer may lie in her most terrifying prophecy yet, one that speaks of a punishment so severe it makes even the threat of global war pale in comparison. What did Sister Sasagawa see on the horizon that could be even worse than what we're experiencing now? The truth is about to be revealed, and it may change everything you thought you knew about the future of our world. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies have been chillingly accurate so far, but her most alarming prediction is yet to come. She spoke of a punishment worse than the Great Flood, a cataclysm that could rewrite the future of humanity. What did she see in her visions that made her tremble with fear? Throughout history, religious prophecies have warned of divine punishment for humanity's sins. From Noah's flood to the plagues of Egypt, these stories serve as cautionary tales, urging people to live righteously or face terrible consequences. But Sister Sasagawa's vision of fire from the sky stands out for its terrifying specificity and its eerie relevance to our modern world. In her most chilling prophecy, Sister Sasagawa warned of a catastrophe so severe that it would make the Great Flood look like a minor incident. She spoke of fire raining down from the heavens, bringing destruction on a scale never before seen in human history. The severity of this punishment was emphasized by her claim that survivors would envy the dead, painting a picture of a world forever altered by this cataclysmic event. But what exactly could this fire from the sky be? Scholars and scientists have proposed several interpretations, each more terrifying than the last. One possibility is the specter of nuclear war, a threat that continues to loom over our world. Despite efforts at disarmament, the global stockpile of nuclear weapons remains large enough to devastate our planet many times over. A full-scale nuclear exchange would indeed bring fire from the sky, with the potential to render vast swaths of Earth uninhabitable for generations. Another interpretation points to the possibility of an asteroid impact. NASA constantly monitors near-Earth objects, but the vastness of space means we can't detect every potential threat. A large enough asteroid striking Earth could indeed bring fire from the sky, causing widespread destruction and potentially triggering a global climate catastrophe. The Tunguska event of 1908, where an airburst flattened 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest, offers a small-scale example of the devastation such an impact could cause. A third possibility is an extreme solar event. While less immediately destructive than nuclear war or an asteroid impact, a powerful solar flare could disrupt global communications and power grids, potentially plunging our technology-dependent world into chaos. The resulting societal breakdown could lead to widespread suffering and conflict, fulfilling Sister Sasagawa's warning about the severity of the punishment. Scientists acknowledge the real possibility of these scenarios, adding weight to Sister Sasagawa's prophecy. The threat of nuclear war remains ever present, with experts warning of the catastrophic global consequences. Asteroid impacts, while rarer, pose an existential threat that we're only beginning to take seriously. And our increasing reliance on vulnerable electronic systems makes us more susceptible than ever to the effects of solar flares. The urgency of Sister Sasagawa's message is clear. Her vision suggests that humanity's current trajectory could lead to these catastrophic events if her warnings are not heeded. The emphasis on prayer and repentance in her messages takes on new significance in light of these potential disasters. It's a call not just for spiritual renewal, but for a fundamental change in how we live and interact with our world. As we contemplate the possibility of fire raining from the sky, we're faced with a choice. Will we dismiss these warnings as the ramblings of a distant visionary? Or will we take them seriously, recognizing the very real threats facing our world and working to change course before it's too late? The clock is ticking, and the consequences of inaction could be more devastating than we dare imagine. As the world teeters on the brink, a beacon of hope emerges from Sister Sasagawa's prophecies. She spoke not just of punishment, but of mercy, a chance for humanity to change its course. What if the most shocking part of her message isn't the warning, but the solution? At the heart of Sister Sasagawa's visions lies a powerful message of divine mercy. Despite the dire warnings of catastrophe, her prophecies offer a lifeline to humanity, a chance to avert disaster through sincere prayer and repentance. This isn't just about avoiding punishment, it's about transforming our world from the inside out, starting with our own hearts. The Virgin Mary's messages to Sister Sasagawa were clear and specific. They emphasized the importance of praying the Rosary daily, not as a mere ritual, but as a powerful tool for spiritual transformation. The Virgin spoke of the Rosary as a shield against the darkness engulfing our world, a way to reduce the sins that weigh heavily on humanity's collective soul. But the instructions didn't stop there. Sister Sasagawa was told to perform acts of reparation, small sacrifices and acts of kindness that could help heal the wounds inflicted on the divine heart by humanity's transgressions. These weren't grand gestures, but simple, daily acts of love and compassion that anyone could perform. The significance of these devotional practices can't be overstated. In a world torn apart by conflict and division, the Rosary and acts of reparation offer a path to inner peace and global harmony. They remind us of our shared humanity and our connection to something greater than ourselves. Perhaps most striking is the emphasis on intercessory prayer. The Virgin Mary specifically requested prayers for the protection of the Pope, bishops, and priests. This call for spiritual support for religious leaders takes on new significance in light of the challenges facing the Church today. It's a reminder that even in times of crisis, prayer has the power to uplift and transform. The impact of Sister Sasagawa's messages has been profound. People around the world have responded to her calls for prayer and repentance, organizing vigils and promoting the recitation of the Rosary. Many report feeling a renewed sense of purpose and hope, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. One particularly powerful instruction came in Sister Sasagawa's 2019 message. She called for people to cover themselves with ashes and pray a reparatory rosary daily. This act of humility and repentance takes on new urgency in our current global crises, offering a tangible way for individuals to contribute to spiritual healing. As we look to the future, Sister Sasagawa's messages offer a roadmap for spiritual renewal and global transformation. By embracing the core pillars of Christian life, prayer, repentance, and acts of kindness, we have the power to change the course of history. It's not just about avoiding catastrophe, it's about creating a world filled with love, compassion, and divine grace. The choice is ours. Will we heed Sister Sasagawa's warnings and embrace her call for spiritual renewal? Or will we continue down our current path, risking the consequences she foresaw? The power to shape our future lies in our hands, in the small choices we make each day. As we stand at this critical juncture in human history, Sister Sasagawa's messages remind us that hope is never lost. Even in our darkest hour, the possibility of redemption and transformation remains. The path forward may not be easy, but it's clear. Through prayer, repentance, and acts of love, we can prepare ourselves and our world for whatever challenges lie ahead. The time to act is now. The future we create is up to us. Sister Sasagawa's prophecies have painted a stark picture of our world, one that's unfolding before our eyes. From natural disasters to societal breakdown, her warnings have proven chillingly accurate. But amidst these dire predictions, she offers us a lifeline, a path to redemption through prayer and repentance. As Pope John Paul II reminded us, prophecy is a call to conversion, a call to return to God. Sister Sasagawa's messages echo this sentiment, urging us to embrace spiritual practices like the daily recitation of the Rosary and acts of reparation. These aren't just rituals, they're powerful tools for personal and global transformation. The choice is ours. Will we heed these warnings and change course, or face the consequences? Remember, the future isn't set in stone. Our actions today shape the world of tomorrow. The power to create a better future lies in our hands. Let's not waste this opportunity for renewal and hope.